Problem with the stream.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you, but it says now the stream should be live. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's
I
live
can.
now, yes.
Now it's
Working.
live. Okay, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, we have to start again. So yeah, we had
That's
some
cool.
technical problems. Welcome to the stream, and Moritz will do a short introduction. And then
No,
we'll
that
get
we can
started.
start. Just copy, go on.
Okay,
Fantastic. Cool. Yeah. So thanks again for inviting me to talk here today. Just to give a brief introduction for people that don't know me, I'm Rob Daykin, also known as Cappy. I got into IOTA in 2017, and I've been a long-term supporter since. But I've also been very interested in decentralized finance and Web3 applications. And I've been like an early investor in several DeFi projects, such as like ETHLend, which turned into Aave, Compound. Then I got heavily involved in DeFi when it became more like, just to give a brief introduction for people that don't know me, it's like Binance Smart Chain, AVAX, Phantom, Solana, Matic. Like if you named like a layer 1 or layer 2 solution, like in the top 10 of like DeFi, Llama, TVL, layer 1 consensus chains, I probably have like experienced DeFi on those chains, or been like an active investor trying to like push and promote like successful DeFi projects on those chains. But that was really very much like a hobby of mine for the last few years, and it's only recently that I've made the transition from looking at this as like a hobby and an interest to going full time into launching my own like venture capital with my partners that's focused on investing and building Web3 applications. And that's where Nakama came about, because we wanted a vehicle where we could help support teams and look to advance Web3 applications. And we've got a very like long-term goal to benefit all stakeholders, and to move away from like the previous like set of DeFi applications that were more focused around like value extraction for like teams and venture capitalists. Then, sorry, I think that's my sorry. So we're very focused on our stakeholders. So when we talk about stakeholders, we're focused on trying to create value for our users, liquidity providers, investors, and also our team. We feel like if we can benefit all of those groups of stakeholders, then we'll have a really successful DApp that we can help to launch. And so with Nakama, we're looking at two different avenues for building that future. We have direct investment. So if there's any teams out there looking for direct investment and you feel like you've got a really good DApp that you want to launch, we've got a particular focus right now on Shimmer, obviously, then please do get in touch. And then the second strategy, which we're probably more interested in right now, is we've got a number of different partners that we have, which are development teams actually building out some of the dApps with our assistance. And that's where Deeper and Accumulator have come about, but we're also building other dApps as well, which we'll be able to talk about in the future. So, like, why are we interested in Web3? So Web3 encompasses decentralized finance, NFTs, GameFi, and it's the reason why I'm really excited about this area is that it allows us to incentivize all stakeholders in a way that hasn't been possible in Web2. So we can create a more like fairer economic model, which is more transparent, efficient, and fairer. And so, like, why are we choosing Shimmer to build on top of? One of the first reasons why we've decided to build on top of Shimmer is really you guys, the community. You know, you're extremely loyal. And this is really the first time that you've had access to decentralized apps. And so, like, we look at this as almost like a gold rush opportunity where we've got a huge existing community, which I know very well, and giving them access to decentralized applications for the first time is a fantastic opportunity, not just for like our teams that are building dApps, but also for the users, because with the Web3 architecture, we can now incentivize people to provide liquidity, to be active users on those applications. And as we grow those applications as a community, we'll build more value into those applications as well as on top of Shimmer. So that's the first reason why we're excited about Shimmer. The second reason we're excited about Shimmer is the architecture of Shimmer itself. So the layer 1 consensus being free to mint NFTs and tokens is almost a game changer. It's such a unique proposition which isn't available on any other layer 1 or layer 2 solution right now. But not just the capability of minting those assets for free, but also being able to transfer those assets for free is fantastic. If you can imagine in the future, if we're able to convince Tether or Circle to mint their stable coins being USDT and USDC on top of Shimmer Layer 1, you then have a network that can transfer US dollar value for free in a transparent, efficient, and secure manner, which hasn't been capable to date. So that gets me really excited. And then the possibility of taking all of that new liquidity that's minted on top of layer 1 and then interacting with the smart contract layer being layer 2 and bringing that liquidity into like decentralized finance or art and NFTs and real world assets there, and also into GameFi projects where you can incentivize communities to build games on top of that smart contract layer, which is an exciting prospect. A few other reasons why we're excited about Shimmer is that it's going to be capable of supporting multiple chains in the future. So it can deal with congestion, and with each new smart contract chain that gets built on top of Shimmer, there's the possibility to actually tweak some of the characteristics and parameters around that smart contract chain. So if there's a more efficient smart contract language in the future, outside of like EVM and Solidity, then it could adopt that new smart contract language, or it could look to adopt a different mechanics around fees or validators. There's a lot of things that could be tweaked with each of those new chains. So we can really play about with Shimmer, and it's very flexible, and it's going to allow us the capability, I think, as a community, but also the foundation to build new technologies and test out the capabilities of Shimmer prior to it being launched on top of IOTA 2.0 and assembly. Other reasons why I'm excited about Shimmer, I've mentioned a few times in the past about the order consensus of Shimmer EVM. So in most smart contract ecosystems, the transactions are ordered based on who pays the most gas fees, which sounds good, but unfortunately it gets manipulated, and there's a lot of value which is extracted called either minor or maximum extractable value, which in a lot of cases is not beneficial for the ecosystem. So for example, doing trades on a decentralized exchange, they can be what's called sandwich attacks, and without people realizing, value is being extracted from their transactions because a miner or a bot can place transactions before and after your transaction to increase the price that you would have otherwise paid and taken value from you. That kind of attack just won't be possible on Shimmer EVM. So it's going to create a more fairer ecosystem. Another reason why I'm really excited about Shimmer is the community devs, and some of them are going to be talking today. And like, I'm super excited to be involved in an ecosystem which has a lot of support within the development community. So I know that I can reach out to pretty much anyone else that's going to be talking on this within this presentation, and I'll get the support and backing, and I'll provide that to them as well. And I think together, like as a community of developers, we can really push the success of Shimmer and Shimmer EVM with the community. And really it's about working together and building those synergies and partnerships so we can all succeed. Because even if there's competitors on this chain, I think if those competitors are successful, it's going to drive us all forwards, and together we'll be, stronger. The analogy that I like to use actually is looking at like rising tide. So if, like Shimmer represents the tide. If it's rising and each of the developers are boats, we're all going to rise together. So we should be supporting each other in that way. So moving on to the dApps that we've announced. The first one being Deeper Finance is a lending platform which incentivizes stakeholders to ensure its success. So when I spoke about stakeholders earlier, the way that Deeper will be incentivizing our stakeholders is if you provide collateral to be lent out to other users, you will be rewarded in both a return based on the usage of your collateral, but you'll also be rewarded in a Deeper token. And think of like a Deeper token like you would a share, like a traditional bank. Basically, this is a bank, and by lending money to this bank, you'll be provided shares, or otherwise known as tokens, in Deeper. And you'll then also profit from the revenue that's generated by this lending platform. So it's quite a unique proposition, because if you imagine a traditional bank, if I wanted to establish a traditional bank today, I'd probably need hundreds of millions of dollars to do so, and we probably have like a small number of like high net worth individuals that would lend that capital to bootstrap this bank. But in Deeper's case, we can actually bootstrap that capital that we need to lend out for collateral by incentivizing our users to do so. So it really opens up new avenues for raising funds and also launching apps through this like Web3 method and decentralized finance, which I'm really excited about. And so we can also do this far more efficiently and transparently than a traditional bank, because all of the transactions for Deeper will be on the Shimmer EVM blockchain. So you'll be able to see all of the transactions coming in and out of this application. Whereas when I look at like traditional banks, they work within what I call like a black box. So it's very hard to see like the transactions that are going on, whether they're complying with regulations and audits. And so this creates a more trustless system, having such a banking application on blockchain. With Deeper as well, we're also taking security very seriously. We're taking a security first approach. And so we've just announced our partnership with HashX, which is a security firm that will be carrying out our audits. We'll soon be announcing a partnership with a security Web3 firm. And we've recently hired security devs. Also, Deeper has been built on top of Compound. So it's a Compound fork. And the reason why we think this is a great advantage to us is that Compound has been around since 2019. And so it's secured a huge amount of TVL to date. So it's battle tested. It's had multiple audits.
Das war scheiße gestern, ey. Das ist echt scheiße gelaufen.
Sorry,
Wenn sie es
could
noch
you
ganz weit nach oben gehalten
mute
hätte, dann
yourself?
wäre es ja überall.
I'm sorry, could you mute yourself? Excuse me, can you hear me? Could you mute yourself, please?
It's Hightower. Maybe you can mute Hightower.
I muted him. It's good.
Thanks. So yeah, that's Deeper, and we're really excited to be launching Deeper. So we're starting off with the Compound fork because we want to take security very seriously, but soon after launch, we're going to be developing additional features which will be unique to Compound, and will hopefully provide us with other advantages in the future. The next app that you probably haven't heard too much about to date, because we've been quietly doing a rebrand, is Accumulator. And Accumulator is a yield aggregator. And how it essentially works is that it works with decentralized exchanges to take the liquidity that you can provide to a decentralized exchange and be rewarded in a yield. And it takes that yield and it automatically compounds that every couple of minutes, for example, to maximize your return. So if I give you like a really simple example, if you were receiving a return on a decentralized exchange to provide liquidity at, say, 100% APY, if you were to compound that every minute for the whole year, you would receive a return of 171% APY. So there's great advantages to using a yield aggregator, because it means that you don't have to sit there and automatically take your yield and then convert it into more liquidity. It will automatically do this in a very efficient and cost-effective manner. And that's what this application here is doing. And again, likewise with Deeper, we're taking security very seriously. We'll shortly be announcing our partnership for Accumulator with HashX, who'll be doing our audit, and the same security like professionals that are working on Deeper also have oversight of Accumulator as well. And of course, there's going to be additional dApps and partnerships in the future, which we'll be really excited to talk about. But at the moment, Nakama is very focused on building on top of Shimmer. We've got a lot of experience already within the IOTA community and Shimmer, and so it makes sense for us to essentially we see Shimmer as having a lot of like low-hanging fruit that I think ourselves as well as the community can benefit from by focusing on this ecosystem right now. That's pretty much the end of my presentation. I'd like to open up the floor to any questions that anybody has.
Are there any questions for Kapi?
Yes, I got one question.
Go for it.
Yes, for the accumulator, which security provider you will use?
So it'll be HashX is the security firm that's doing our audits. So they're currently auditing Deeper, and once they finish with Deeper, they're going to start the audit on Accumulator. But on top of just the security firm that's doing our audit, we're due to announce a partnership with a Web3 team, which has a very key focus on security. Like the Web3 team that we're going to be announcing a partnership with have over 30 developers, and the majority of them are security focused. And so with that partnership, they'll be assisting us when it comes to policies, procedures, like high-level security overview. And we've recently hired one of their security developers to work together with us and them to ensure that we have really tight security across like all of our dApps. But yeah, we've already started working through some of those like security policies and procedures, locking down every application that our team uses and ensuring that we all have two-factor authentication, and using things like YubiKeys is very critical for us. We're looking at the security of each of the dApps when it comes to things like wallets and like multi-sig requirements and who we want to have on those multi-sigs, whilst making sure that we can, we're efficient and mobile if needed to make changes. But yeah, I'd say that we're extremely security focused right now. And we want to deploy our dApps in a really safe manner. And then once we've deployed those dApps, we can start building on some of the more interesting features that we have in mind for the future.
All right, thanks.
Awesome.
Cool.
Perfect. So, yeah, I think Nakama and your whole team, Kapi, brings this ecosystem really forward. And yeah, thank you for this awesome presentation. And I think everybody can reach out to you in Discord every time if they have any more questions. Yeah, and now I want to give over the topic, the next project, to Shimmersea and to Dr. Tangle, and he will show us also about his awesome project, what he is currently doing in the ecosystem, and it will present this to us now. The stage is yours.
Hallo zusammen, danke für die Einleitung. Es freut mich wirklich sehr, dass ich heute an diesem sonnigen Sonntag bei dem Berlin Meetup virtuell dabei sein darf. Vielen Dank für die Einladung. Grüße an alle, die gerade in Berlin sind, und natürlich auch an jeden, der sich heute die Zeit nimmt und sich virtuell eingewählt hat. Ich hoffe, ihr könnt mich alle auch gut hören.
One question, Dr. Tangle. Would it be possible to do it in English Just as a
Yeah,
question.
yeah. I mean, for everyone out there speaking English, we have decided to do this presentation in German to celebrate the German Stammtisch and its community. So, but all slides are completely in English, and there will be plenty of other, intro and M&A sessions in English coming soon. So I hope this is fine. Is this okay?
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So, dann starten wir doch mal rein. Für alle, die mich noch nicht kennen, ich bin Dr. Tangle, ich bin Teil von dem Tanglesea Core Team und ja, habe heute die Ehre, euch die Shimmersea Decks vorzustellen. Gemeinsam mit dem Team sind wir seit über einem Jahr dran, eine dezentrale Exchange für das Shimmer-IOTA-Netzwerk zu bauen. Und ja, dazu möchte ich heute euch ein bisschen mehr Einblicke geben. Aber bevor wir reinstarten, möchte ich ganz kurz die Gelegenheit nutzen und mich im Namen von unserem gesamten Team bei unserer Community für die letzten 1,5 Jahre für das Engagement, Interesse, Feedback, und der kontinuierlichen Unterstützung bedanken. Es ist absolut fantastisch zu beobachten, wie sich das Projekt selbst und die Community darum entwickelt hat. Es macht wirklich wahnsinnig viel Spaß, daran zu arbeiten, und es gibt uns immer wieder diese zusätzliche Energie, nochmal eins draufzusetzen. Also schöne Grüße von uns allen, auch an unsere Community. Aber dann lasst uns doch ein bisschen in die Welt der Shimmersea einsteigen. Wie zu Beginn schon kurz erwähnt, haben wir eine dezentrale Exchange für das Shimmer-Netzwerk gebaut. Genau genommen für die Shimmer EVM Chain, also dem Smart Contract Layer 2. Also was bedeutet das genau? Ganz high level kann man 3 Dinge bei einer DEX machen. Also als erstes, man kann dezentral ohne jeglichen Zwischenhändler Token tauschen. Also mit Hilfe von Smart Contracts und einem Automated Market Making Algorithmus wird hier der Tausch völlig autonom abgewickelt. Und User müssen nicht irgendwelchen dezentralisierten Servern oder Organisationen vertrauen. Also der User handelt direkt mit einem Smart Contract, was schon ziemlich cool ist. Dann als zweites, User können die DEX mit Liquidität unterstützen und damit bei den erwirtschafteten Handelsgebühren mitverdienen. Also je mehr Liquidität die DEX hat, desto besser und günstiger können Leute ihre Token auch in größeren Mengen tauschen. Und als drittes, man kann zusätzliche Rewards über die Plattform, also mit Hilfe von Plattform-Token der DEX verdienen. Das heißt, damit schafft das Protokoll einen weiteren Incentive, den zweiten Punkt, also das Hinzufügen von Liquidität, zu fördern und damit dann auch das Trading auf der DEX zu unterstützen. Also allein dieser Punkt ist ein Riesenthema bei einer DEX, und da werden wir auch in den nächsten Slides noch ein bisschen genauer drauf eingehen. Es gibt nun sehr unterschiedliche Möglichkeiten und Wege, diese 3 Punkte technisch und auch betriebswirtschaftlich umzusetzen. Und die meisten bei uns im Team sind schon seit einigen Jahren im DeFi-Sektor unterwegs, und wir nutzen regelmäßig unterschiedliche Protokolle in anderen Ökosystemen. Und da war absolut klar für uns, dass wenn wir selber eine DEX bauen, dann schauen wir uns den gesamten Markt an. Was gibt es bereits? Was hat gut funktioniert? Was nicht? Was können wir daraus lernen? Was ist der aktuelle Status quo? Und wie können wir diesen mit unseren eigenen Ideen und Entwicklungen maßgeblich verbessern? Und das haben wir sozusagen das letzte Jahr lang gemacht. Wir haben die besten Protokolle der Welt genommen, kombiniert und weiterentwickelt. Denn unsere Vision ist, eine DEX zu bauen, die wir selber nutzen wollen. Also eine DEX, die Spaß macht, die einfach zu bedienen ist. Eine DEX, die komplett dezentral, sicher und vertrauenswürdig ist. Und vor allem nachhaltige Werte für unsere Community schafft. Das war uns besonders wichtig. Ja, nach monatelanger Recherche, Programmierung von neuen Smart Contracts und einer komplett einzigartigen und neu entwickelten Tokenökonomie sind wir, denke ich, auf einem sehr guten Weg, diese Vision zu erreichen. Und freuen uns wahnsinnig darauf, euch alles Stück für Stück vorzustellen. Es ist vielleicht auch ein guter Punkt zu erwähnen, dass die heutige Präsentation nur einen Teil unserer DEX abdeckt und sehr high-level gehalten ist. Und wir werden aber die komplette DEX in einem White Paper vor dem Launch vorstellen, und da steht dann auch alles nochmal im Detail drinnen. Gut. Aber was bedeutet es denn jetzt eigentlich genau, eine DEX der neuen Generation zu bauen? Und was macht es so besonders? Und wir denken, hier kommt es vor allem auf 3 Punkte an. Die DEX muss dezentral sein und man muss sich auf den Code wirklich verlassen können. Genau aus diesem Grund, und das hat ja auch Cappy ein bisschen vorher schon erwähnt, bauen wir auf einem Fundament, welches schon mit Milliarden von Dollar erprobt wurde. Aber trotzdem, um wirklich nummersicher zu gehen, haben wir den kompletten Code und besonders auch die Smart Contracts, die wir selbst entwickelt haben, nochmal doppelt auditieren lassen. Zweitens, die gesamte Tokenökonomie muss nachhaltig aufgebaut sein und gerade für unterschiedliche Marktlagen ausgelegt sein. Und mit unserem neuartigen Token-Konzept haben wir genau daran gearbeitet und eine komplett neue Tokenomics entwickelt. Und das wird vor allem dann auch im White Paper sehr genau beschrieben. Und als drittes, unsere Community steht im Mittelpunkt. Das war uns immer besonders wichtig. Also wir alle starten die DEX gemeinsam. Und mit unserem Fair Launch-Konzept bauen wir auf den Grundsätzen der Fairness, Gleichberechtigung, Transparenz und Nachhaltigkeit auf. Also wir wollen weg von dieser Wertextrahierung hin zu Wert, besonders für unsere Community. Aber wie kann man denn nun genau bei der DEX partizipieren? Diese Frage kriegen wir so oft und auch mitverdienen. Und wir jetzt schon an die Zahl 3 gewöhnt sind, machen wir doch gleich genauso weiter. Es gibt 3 Hauptbereiche, wie man bei der DEX Erträge erzielen kann. Also erstens das Hinzufügen von Liquidität. Das hatte ich ja vorher auch schon ganz kurz erwähnt. Dafür koppelt man 2 Token zusammen und gibt sie in einen Liquiditätspool hinein. Damit können dann alle Trader diese Liquidität zum Handeln verwenden. Ein Großteil der Handelsgebühren fließt dann wieder an die User zurück, die diese Liquidität zur Verfügung gestellt haben. Also User gibt Liquidität, verdient damit einen Teil der Handelsgebühren. Zweitens, es gibt bestimmte DEX-Pools, die über Farming zusätzlich intensiviert werden. Also das bedeutet, wenn User dort Liquidität bereitstellen, dass sie nicht nur die Handelsgebühren bekommen, sondern auch eine zusätzliche Rendite über die Plattform Reward Tokens erzielen können. Und dieser Mechanismus ist vor allem dafür da, dass die Liquidität der DEX gebootstrapped werden kann am Anfang. Und dieser ganze Prozess oder dieser ganze Farming-Prozess ist besonders am Anfang, wenn die Pools noch sehr klein sind. Und der dritte Punkt ist Single-Token-Staking. Also für manche Token gibt es die Möglichkeit, sich eine Belohnung abzuholen für das Halten der Token. Also das Protokoll oder unsere Partner geben den Usern Rewards, wenn sie den Token länger halten und einfach nicht abverkaufen. Also der User legt Token in einen Smart Contract, die Token werden darin sozusagen gestaked und man bekommt dafür Rewards. Das sind so die 3, sagen wir mal, prominentesten Möglichkeiten bei einer DEX mitzuverdienen. Und im White Paper werden wir dann vielleicht noch ein paar weitere vorstellen. Jetzt haben wir ja immer wieder mal irgendwie protokolleigener Token oder Reward-Token gehört und das ist sozusagen der eigene Token der DEX, der dafür verwendet wird, Liquidity-Providern, also Personen, die Liquidität zur Verfügung stellen, zusätzliche Incentives zu bieten. Und im Falle von Shimmersea ist das der Loom-Token. Und dieser Token ist mit der gesamten Tokenökonomie der DEX super eng verknüpft und wir haben dazu noch relativ wenig geteilt. Und es liegt daran, dass gerade dort auch unsere Key-Innovationen liegen. Also das DEX-Konzept ist aber schon komplett fertig entwickelt und wir werden alle Informationen jetzt Stück für Stück, wo es auch auf den Launch zugeht, veröffentlichen. Aber um euch nicht so ganz ohne Insider aus diesen Präsentationen rausgehen zu lassen, wollen wir euch heute ein bisschen mehr Informationen zu unserem Fair Launch teilen. Also mal als erstes, was bedeutet eigentlich unser Fair Launch Konzept? Kein Loom Token Presale, kein Pre-Airdrop, kein Pre-Token Minting. Am ersten Tag der DEX werden die allerersten Loom Token kreiert und wir starten sozusagen alle die DEX gemeinsam. Ganz wichtig zu wissen. Es gibt viele unterschiedliche Gründe, warum wir das machen, aber ich möchte so auf 1, 2 eingehen. Wir sagen doch immer, unsere Community comes first und das meinen wir bei Shimmersea auch wirklich so. Und das ist zum Beispiel auch ein Hauptgrund, warum wir kein Early Presale gemacht haben, weil dort im Endeffekt, was dort im Endeffekt passiert, ist, dass das Risiko vom Projekt weg und zur Community hingeschoben wird. Und gerade wenn das Projekt noch sehr jung ist und da ist oft noch nicht so viel da und man weiß noch gar nicht so richtig, was daraus wird, ist das Risiko schon noch verhältnismäßig hoch. Und deswegen haben wir uns sehr früh dazu entschieden, dass wir selbst das Risiko tragen, alles fertig entwickeln und dann kann jeder beim Start sehen, was da ist und selbst entscheiden, ob er partizipieren will oder nicht. Also wir reduzieren damit das Risiko für unsere Community. Ein anderer Grund ist, dass wir gerne den wichtigsten Pool, also den SMR Loom Pool, komplett an unsere Community übergeben wollen, gleich zum Start. Das bedeutet, dass beim Fair Launch Liquidity Event jeder sich direkt SMR Loom LP Token besorgen kann und damit einen Teil des Pools besitzt. Also damit auch der Preis von Loom von der Community entschieden wird und nicht von uns. Da zu diesem Zeitpunkt auch noch keine Loom im Umlauf sind, weil wir haben ja noch nichts verteilt, haben alle User bei diesem Event kein Risiko auf Sell Pressure oder Abverkauf, weil sozusagen damit alles gemeinsam gestartet wird. Wie funktioniert denn dann der Fair Launch eigentlich? Und das kann man hier ganz schön an der Animation sehen. Also es gibt einen Smart Contract und dieser hält eine gewisse Menge an Loom-Token. Die Community kann dann SMR-Token in diesen Smart Contract hineinlegen und bekommt dafür SMR Loom LP-Token ausgezahlt. Umso mehr SMR in diesen Smart Contract dann hineinfließen, umso höher ist der Loom-Preis. Aber da sozusagen erst am Ende von diesem Event abgerechnet wird, zahlen alle am Ende den gleichen Preis. Wie genau das dann alles funktioniert und zu welchen Bedingungen, dazu werden wir nochmal detailliert einen Medium-Artikel veröffentlichen, wenn es dann soweit ist. Aber vielleicht nochmal zusammenfassend, das ist unserer Meinung nach der transparenteste und fairste Weg, eine DEX zu starten und positioniert unsere Community absolut in eine Pole Position für den Start. Ja, jetzt haben wir ein bisschen über die DEX geredet. In den nächsten Slides möchte ich kurz darauf eingehen, wie wir das Ökosystem und unsere Partner unterstützen können. Also unsere Devise ist Start with us, Scale with us und Stay with us. Was wir damit meinen ist, dass wir mit unseren unterschiedlichen Protokollen einen idealen Nährboden für Wachstum im Ökosystem bilden. Also junge Projekte können bei Shimmersea starten, sich ausprobieren, sich der Öffentlichkeit präsentieren und erhalten vollen Support von unserer DEX. Und damit endet es aber nicht. Später können sich diese dann weiterentwickeln und über unsere Bridge, also Multichain-Funktionalität, über Tanglesea weiter wachsen und weiter skalieren. Also wir bieten eine komplette Entwicklungspipeline, ganz im Sinne vom Setup mit Shimmer und IOTA, also einem Staging-Netzwerk und einem Mainnet. Partnerprojekte können die komplette Bandbreite dieser Infrastruktur nutzen, ohne das Tanglesea-Ökosystem oder unser Ökosystem verlassen zu müssen. Das ist schon ziemlich cool. Wenn man dann aber speziell auf unsere Partnerschaften schaut, wir glauben an einen ganzheitlichen Ansatz für die Ökosystementwicklung. Das bedeutet, gemeinsam sind wir stärker. Also wir sehen Shimmersea als einen Knotenpunkt für unterschiedliche Projekte, eine Oberfläche, bei der Communities zusammenkommen können. Und was generell Partnerschaften angeht, sind wir super flexibel und offen. Also wir werden immer versuchen, das Ökosystem zu unterstützen und gute gemeinsame Wege zu finden. Wenn man so ein bisschen auf die Produktseite schaut, also interessante Shimmersea-Produkte sind vor allem das Listing von Token, also auf unserem Frontend, das Boosten von Liquidität für unsere Partner und das Helfen beim Start eines neuen Projekts. Also für jeden, der interessiert ist, mit uns zusammenzuarbeiten, einfach direkt über unsere Homepage auf Engage klicken und das Formular ausfüllen oder auch einfach mich direkt oder Alpha kontaktieren und wir sind generell super aktiv in Discord und freuen uns, euch kennenzulernen. So, aber was ist denn jetzt der Status der DEX und wie geht es weiter? Also wir sind komplett fertig mit der Entwicklung der ersten Version. Ich meine, wir teilen da ja auch relativ viel bei uns auf Twitter. Wir haben das Protokoll bereits doppelt auditieren lassen und über mehrere Monate jetzt getestet. Die Reports teilen wir dann nach dem Launch. Der Grund dafür ist, dass wir erst den finalen Code, also wir müssen den Code auf der finalen Chain deployen und die Auditoren schauen dann nochmal drüber, ob das auch wirklich der Code ist, den wir auditieren haben lassen. Und dann kriegen wir den finalen Report. Aber wir sind super stolz darauf, wie weit wir gekommen sind, was wir aufgebaut haben und freuen uns riesig auf die nächsten Schritte. Und da dieses Event hier in Berlin schon irgendwie was Besonderes ist, unsere Community kommt zusammen, haben wir heute noch eine kleine Überraschung für euch. Also, was kommt als nächstes? Wir haben am Donnerstag ja schon unsere Training Decks angekündigt. Und dazu haben wir uns noch ein bisschen was on top überlegt. Das Ziel ist ja, dass unsere Community unsere MVP-Decks, also wirklich die Minimal Viable Product Decks, kennenlernt und so ein bisschen rumspielen kann. Und wir gemeinsam mit der EF die Infrastruktur testen können. Das ist sehr wichtig, bevor wir dann final live gehen können. Und das soll ja auch irgendwie so ein bisschen Spaß machen und auch das Interesse wecken, alle Aspekte der Decks kennenzulernen. Und deswegen, aus diesem Grund, freuen wir uns, euch heute unsere Training Decks Competition vorzustellen. Diese Competition wird circa einen Monat lang laufen und wird ein gewaltiges Preisgeld von 5.500 US-Dollar haben. Also wir wollen einen riesen Anreiz bieten, die Decks wie auch die Infrastruktur so richtig durchzutesten. Und im Endeffekt ist es ziemlich straightforward. Das Ziel ist, versuche so viel Loom wie möglich zu bekommen. Alle Personen, die ein Lumi, eine IOTA-Bot, ein Suna-Bot oder eine IOTA-Ape haben, können mitmachen. Der Snapshot für die Wallet-Adressen wird bald gezogen. Während der Competition wird es 3 Snapshots geben, wo der Token-Status der einzelnen User abgefragt wird. Und die Summe daraus ermittelt dann den Gewinner. Der Grund, warum wir das machen, ist, dass wir ständige Umschiftungen in diese Competition reinbringen, weil wir wollen ja letztendlich die Decks und die Infrastruktur testen. Zu gewinnen ist erster Platz $2.000, zweiter Platz 1.500, dritter 750 und vierter Platz $500. Und wir werden nochmal 15 mal $50 random an die Top 200 Player verlosen. Also ich kann euch sagen, wir freuen uns riesig auf diese Competition. Ich glaube, das wird ein gewaltiger Spaß und wir können so richtig die Chain-Infrastruktur testen und das ist eben auch das, was wir wirklich brauchen, bevor wir dann final live gehen können. Und deswegen werden wir auch erst damit starten, sobald die EVM-Chain eine finale Version hat, weil wir wollen ja das finale Setup testen. Also keine Sorge, ihr werdet nichts verpassen, es wird alles nochmal in einem Medium-Artikel genau beschrieben und rechtzeitig auch im Voraus kommuniziert. Ja, ich glaube, das war jetzt genug Content für heute. Vielen Dank für eure Aufmerksamkeit. Es hat Spaß gemacht, mehr über unsere Decks zu erzählen. Falls es jetzt noch, ich weiß gar nicht, wie die Zeit ist, falls es noch dazu Fragen oder Anmerkungen geben sollte, denke ich, haben wir noch ein paar Minuten Zeit. Sonst einfach direkt über unsere Socials Kontakt zu uns aufnehmen. Wir freuen uns über jeden, der uns in der Shimmersea besucht. Vielen Dank.
Well, thank you for this presentation. I think also maybe if now it wasn't German, but through the slides you can read something in English. Are there any questions from the participants? So,
and for sure we can do the questions in English.
yeah, thank you. Yeah. Are there any questions for Tanglesea for the DEX project? All right. Seems quiet as it seems not. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. And I think, yeah, we can share also the slides later and everybody can then reach out directly to you if he has more questions.
Awesome.
So, thanks. We come directly to the next participant, which is IOTApes, who wants to present their project. So, are you here? Are you live to speak?
Yes, sir. I'm right around here. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I will do presentation in English because I do not speak German. I hope that's all right.
That's perfect.
Thank you, Cappy, and thank you, Dr. Tangle, for presenting your projects. They are very interesting, and they are basically the basis of what ApeDAO idea was in the beginning. So what ApeDAO is and who am I? I'm just going to do a short introduction to what we are trying to build. So I'm Alfaro. I'm the founder of ApeDAO, the starter of the whole idea, and a core contributor to the project. Also, since recently, I joined Shimmersea to their core team as well. So I'm a contributor there as well. Briefly about myself, I started with DeFi probably close to 2 years now, since I first realized what this is and that this is going to change the financial system, from the ground up. Everything is transparent. I started digging a bit deeper in the ideas of all of this and how things work, how protocol works, and all of those DEXs, lending protocols, like Cappy said. I just discovered the rabbit hole, and since then, it's been a full-time job for me, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can and contribute to a few different projects as well. So yeah, that's just the how I started with all of this and why I started the ApeDAO idea. I'm just first going to make a small disclaimer that nothing in this presentation is a financial advice. Everyone should do their own research on all of the projects. And basically, the ApeDAO is a project that is a strong supporter of all of these ideas. And if someone is not sure, where to put their money in the Shimmer ecosystem, try to elaborate your ideas and everything. Try to talk with the community. This is what we support. And don't try to get just to lose money in the ecosystem just because you didn't know something. This is the whole idea of generating or creating a social club of all of this. So for the contents, I'm just try to use these next few slides to try and briefly explain how we started with all of the project and what we are trying to build, and myself and also the initial circle of the core contributors to the project. So I hope I won't take too much time on a Sunday morning. So yeah. Background to the project. I'm trying to transfer my own values to the project. This was the initial idea of ApeDAO. So try to build up a community that is oriented to keeping the project honest and transparent, and to build a sustainable project, and above all, a fun project, where we can all come and share ideas about the DeFi, and maybe even try to build some of them into the ApeDAO, and just chat around and try to keep other projects honest by talking about them, sharing ideas, findings, if you would say that as well. So we started as an NFT collection on Sunaverse with the idea to form a community managed treasury, or basically NFT holders are managing this whole treasury. We will be working on quote unquote deploying this treasury and try to earn some kind of yield with this, like Dr. Tangle explained in a DEX, for example. We can try to earn yield and just grow this treasury and operate it all together. So the project got quickly very popular, and the collection was launched and everything was done. So the initial circle of contributors, we formed a small management, let's say, and we started working on the DAO idea, how we actually can manage all together and to form the proper structure for the whole project. A bit about the launch of the NFT collection. So basically, we just had a Genesis sale of all of the NFTs. I presented the basic idea about the project, and people seemed to like it. They joined our channels. We started chatting around, and the initial sale was done pretty quickly. So we formed the treasury with the 100% of the sale. So it was 100% fair launch. None of the money was used for any purposes, outside of forming the treasury. And we also imposed a royalty fee for the speculators, so they can increase the treasury as well. So the treasury is basically the key to our success. So what we are trying to build here is a multi-pronged project. And it's going to be a bit similar to a decentralized investment club. So each NFT owner will have a vote in the DAO, and they can steer the whole DAO into a direction, and they can make decisions as well. And that's in short, basically. Yeah. So what we are trying to focus on currently is to build out a structure, which I will show in the next slide. Our current focus is IOTA ecosystem and Shimmer as well, because all of us are coming from IOTA. IOTA, it was my, I would say, first love of crypto, because I'm a supporter since 2017, and as many of us here. So why not try to build up our ecosystem instead of supporting all of the others, right? Here, like, number one thing that's most important is that Ape DAO becomes a trusted entity in the IOTA ecosystem, so we can establish trust with sharing of our findings, educating the community. We also had some of the sessions about DeFi, which since recently I also saw on IOTA Discord. So there was a Shimmer community DeFi education by Bankless Consulting. That's exactly the thing that we want to start as well with one of our initiatives inside the project. So these are the three main areas that we are focused on during the next year. So Ape Invest is going to be our, let's say, money generating project inside Ape DAO. This will include deploying the treasury and try to capitalize on opportunities in DeFi, so in various lending protocols, in various DEXs and that kind of stuff. Ape Advisory, since we managed to gather an initial circle of DeFi natives, if I can say that, it's worth maybe to investigate or going deeper into this idea of forming an Ape Advisory, which is going to offer services of Ape DAO to other projects, maybe try to shape their tokenomics or successfully execute the fundraising strategy and that kind of stuff. And also, one of the most important things in Ape DAO is education about DeFi. We call it ape education. As you can see, everything is oriented around apes. So we are going to organize education sessions for holders of NFTs, but also for the public, general public of IOTA community. So we are trying to bring the value to the whole ecosystem by doing this. At the current state of the project and some of our future plans. So since we are a small project, let's say, a small initiative, we are taking things slowly, and we are trying to really discuss about all of the ideas and take everything into consideration. So far, we established some of the basic, which was developing the governance and making some actions on that field. We defined some of the mechanics for treasury management, something like multi-sig wallets and the proper structure in regards to who will manage this treasury, in which way, and all of that. So the next steps would be for us to basically launch and firm up all of our structures that we just presented, and most importantly, to invite more of the IOTA community to join our project, to ask questions about other projects, about DeFi opportunities, and in the end, scale our operations so everyone can actually take part in all of this. One of the most important things for us is to establish and nurture partnerships across the whole emerging ecosystem. We already are in good contacts with Shimmersea, of course, since myself I joined their core team as well. So we are trying to keep the whole ecosystem honest and just try to build up the best that we can. Yeah. So that's in short. Thank you for the attention. Here are some of the media links if anyone wants to check out our project. And I'm open for any questions if there is any. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, apes is well-known thing in crypto. So, thanks for this awesome project. Are there any questions for IOTApes?
Can I ask? Sorry.
No worries. Thank you. Feel free to ask.
Sorry, it's Simon from TFT. So I'm really interested in some of the stuff you were talking about evaluating other projects. When do you think you'll be ready for a project, say, for example, like us, to submit what we're doing for you to evaluate? Is that a beginning of 2023, or is that something this year?
No, I would say that it's more close to beginning of maybe first or second quarter of 2023, since we have a lot of things to focus on to establishing our stream of revenues, and that's mostly going to be Ape Invest. So we will first focus on this, since we will need to use some of the potentially generated profits, to let's say quote unquote pay or to compensate some of the core contributors for exchanging their time, of course, to find a lot of this information. So I would say beginning of next year is most likely.
Okay, thanks very much.
No worries, thank you.
All right. If there are more questions, I think also, if not now, you can reach out directly to the team and ask the question by yourself. Thanks for this presentation. And I think it's fine for everyone that we directly move to the next presenter. So
Thank you.
It would be the project Tanglesea, which is presenting now their progress and what they plan to do with IOTA.
Hello, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Gareth. Perfect.
Oh, great. And now let's wait. Can you see my screen of the Chrome? No.
I think the people can see it.
No. Okay. That's strange. Your stream currently has reduced video audio quality, maybe due to the network condition. Oh, that's not good. Okay, so I think that's what I can do is there anyone who can actually help me to show the Tanglesea web page? If you could help me do the streaming just to show the Tanglesea.
Philo, could you share your screen? Because I'm only on a mobile phone. So.
Okay. Yeah. So I just get more, maybe I'll try lower resolution and try. Let's trust the technology.
Yeah, or Philo can also show you that, so would be fine.
Let me just do one more try of this.
I think it's not loading.
No, it's not. Okay, I give up. I think I'll just do use my words to try to just tell everyone what we are doing. Okay. So okay, some of you might know me. I'm Garrett, co-founder of Tanglesea. And I'm sorry today the streaming is not working out. The thing is that I've traveled a lot from the US and to Singapore, and then to Korea, and then I'm now back in China, and I kind of locked in the hotel doing COVID test every day, and the hotel network is not really bad. It's just not really working well. So I'm truly sorry for this, but perhaps let me try to talk better to see if we can cover this problem. Thanks for having me here. Thanks, Cappy. Thanks, Dr. Tango. Thanks, Alpha. Thanks for delivering the very nice presentation. Much better than mine because you can all show your screens. But for me, I think today I will just talk about TanglePay. What we have been doing. And for those of you who haven't known me before, I'm before TanglePay. Actually, I was in the crypto space from 2014. I was in the Chinese exchange called Huobi in 2014, which was the largest one. And afterwards, in 2017, I co-founded Bitforex. And also, I'm a partner of one of the biggest Ethereum pool called Spider Pool. And now it's shut down because of the POS. And now, actually, TanglePay has been deployed in the ecosystem for about a year. It has been doing really fast. And I think when we started, actually, we didn't have got many users to start. But we were really glad that we started at that time. And some of the users, they really used TanglePay to do staking because we were providing the mobile solution of staking. So I think many people could do the staking because of TanglePay, which really make us really happy. And now it's like we're adding different features and doing lots of optimizations. In the beginning, there were lots of problems, but we didn't make clients losing money, users losing money. That is good. And TanglePay is a self-custody wallet, which means the key and the assets is all in your hand. And of course, we are doing new things now. And now, like people use TanglePay more often, the web extension, because of the IOTA right? The IOTA now it's like people can exchange between Shima and IOTA, and you can connect your wallet, TanglePay wallet on IOTA, which is more convenient. And so that is how we get here. And now actually we are, I wanted to show our roadmap, which is on our Medium article, but now I can use my words to tell you what's there, and you can check the article perhaps afterwards. And actually we strictly following our roadmap so far. And the first step is IOTA wallet. Of course, we started as an IOTA wallet. And the second step is more like a Web3 component, we call it. It is because that TanglePay is now like a Web3 plugin wallet component that empowers IOTA ecosystem projects by providing features such as signing in, asset transfer, and asset demonstration, and other SDK services on multi-chain or by APIs from our community partners. So actually, that is what we are doing currently with IOTA. And actually, we want to work with more community projects so that users can use TanglePay to sign in their wallet, to sign in their dApps. And in the other way, we can also bring the dApps into our dApp market, just like we did with IOTA, so that users can easily access to those dApps from TanglePay. And so this is actually the number 2 component we are doing and our current focus. And the third thing actually we are doing is something totally new. We called it a new anonymous social network. So TanglePay is a wallet, and however, can you imagine that people can use TanglePay to chat to each other? I think thanks to the NFT and also the feeless layer 1 design of IOTA and Shima, actually we will be able to transfer NFT for free. And also we can even embed a messaging network on top of the layer 1. So what does that mean? You can imagine that currently like we mostly we talk to each other because we are in the same Discord. However, actually, perhaps we don't know each other, right? But with the NFT, actually, in your wallet, maybe you can have your more certificate of your college degree of what you do, or even if, for example, I was living in Germany, a town called Idstein, and if Idstein townhouse gave me a certificate, I was staying there, I could also show it in my wallet so that people can know more about me, different angles people can know me, so that I can make more friends, even if they don't know me in real life. So I think this is the more fascinating thing. And because at this stage, we are really thinking about how to make IOTA more adopted. And so for us, we are actually thinking the social network thing is really helping to make IOTA more adopted. Yeah. So this is the roadmap we currently have. And maybe I'll talk more about what's coming next. And also, just as you know, that TanglePay got our audit report from Certic, and there was no critical problem, and we solved all the problem mentioned from them. And now, like, TanglePay is audited self-custody wallet, which is a great thing too. And also the code is all on GitHub, and we could show that the code is actually updated for each update version of TanglePay. And what's coming next? Actually, there are lots of things we are doing at the moment. And of course, the first priority for now seems to be supporting schema NFTs. Yeah, so that people can claim their NFTs from Sooniverse and send to each other, and in a more decentralized way. I think that would be great. And also, we'll add the ledger stronghold file import, all those things we have been heard from the community, what the community needs. And also, we are also adding some new features to make TanglePay an easier to use wallet. For example, you can use your fingerprint to log in. You can use your facial, how to say that? You can show your face, and TanglePay can know it's you, so that you can unlock your wallet, etc. But you can turn on or turn off if you don't feel like it. Things like that, I think, to make TanglePay a more easy to use and a better wallet for our community. And also, there is NFTs we have, the Iceberg Legends, which was issued like earlier this year. And for the NFT, actually, we were adding more utilities on top of that. The first one, which was already announced, is to adding trading discount when users have their NFT and they trade on IOTA, and they will get a discount, a trading fee discount up to 30%. And also, there will be some new things upcoming, and regarding to the utility, and also airdrop plans, etc. So please follow us closely on that. And yeah, so this is what we are doing and some of the upcoming plans. And also, if you now actually we have last time we talked, we have about 5,000 downloads of TanglePay, and now this number even close to doubled. And so if the community would like to help, if you like what we are producing, that please also help us to give us like a 5-star in App Store, because it's really helpful to make the app being able to search when people are on Chrome Store or iOS App Store, etc. That would be really helpful. And also, we might need more hands on doing some translation. So the community help will come to be handy at this point. So perhaps we will provide more language versions. Currently, we only support English, German, and Chinese, and some of the German updates was quite old and also in English. So we would need the community help for this, which we will announce how you can help us also. Sorry that I was not able to provide the screen, so I think I will make my presentation shorter. So that is what I have to tell you for this point. And if you have more questions, yeah, please let me know, and I can do more question and answers perhaps.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
One question, what's the biggest customer you have, if you are allowed to say that, if there's no NDA or something?
The biggest customer, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that means like the user who put the most IOTA in Tanglesea?
Oh no, I think, or are there companies that already want to use Tanglesea or something?
I mean, currently, actually, we are also like trying to reach out to the online payment scenarios that they might use IOTA. But actually, this stage is like we are still doing the approach for now, and we'll let the community know once we have some concrete news on this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So yeah, also for him, please reach out if you have questions for Tanglesea and the whole project. And we are moving to the second, so there are three more left. Now we will move to IOTApes, which will present us their project of IOTA. So yeah, Clement, you can go for it.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. It feels good to speak with the IOTA community. Also, it feels better to be on the IOTA Discord. So I think that craft was right in my finger on Discord. So I am Clement, and I'm here to speak about the IMCT project. But first, I want to tell you that I want to congratulate all the projects today coming in front of the community and presenting their project, and thank you to the organizers for that opportunity. We'll talk a little bit about me and the project, the concept of the project, and the timeline. I am Clement Nicolaescu. I am living in Bucharest. Mostly I have an entrepreneurial path in this professional life. I started early somehow unforced with being a chief of phytosanitary police. Then I switched to entrepreneurial life with some e-commerce frameworks development. After that, I felt like I want to go deeper into the marketing and communication. That was an opportunity to touch the metaverse things and learn about it. So I had some project in that area in the early period of the metaverse in 2005 and 10. And after that, a longer period, I was doing live video production as an entrepreneur with my company, having many events around Europe, mostly business events. Starting this year, I dedicated all my energy and focus to not that new idea in my head, but somehow not so public. I started to dedicate all my energy to IMCT. So what is IMCT? Around Europe. It's a very base level. It is a digital infrastructure. We can call it a platform or metaverse for social interactions within future smart city context. It is future because at this moment the smart city concept it's more technical than social. So I expect in the future to be a better blend between social and technology. So in that medium, so we are building for that medium. It is a kind of moonshot project, not a short or medium term project. It is a long term and kind of a complex. This was the first problem because I have a slide later showing the narrowing process of deciding what should be done. In the end, if you need to go with only one idea about what the IMCT is, what IMCT is building now, it is a platform for digital rewards. From all the all kind of social interactions we have, and we will have in the future in the city area. We choose the digital rewards as the one direction to focus on because it seems like the rewarding part of in our society was somehow neglected, with a lot of efforts being spent in the enforcing part of our social interactions, see the legal system with their punishment and things like that. The digital rewards part, the rewards part in our society was somehow neglected, or the authoritarian regimes tried to take advantage of that, building all sort of systems to take advantage with their authoritarian style. Also, historically, the religion and other kind of government forms try to make use of the rewards, but never was a clear system for rewards. So this is our mission for the short term. The long term is the entire social interactions in urban context, but for the shorter term, this is our mission to build a platform for digital rewards around the cities. The project status, we are in a very early stage, very early stage, although the project is not born this year, still in the very early stage. We are bootstrapped in terms of funding. We look for different kind of financing for the future steps, but at this moment, all money are from me as a project initiator, and it will be like that at least until the end of the year, when we decide for other ways to go forward. As related to the project status, we and I always try to do the development of the project, not only the programming part, but all the kind of development projects, very transparent. This is why I'm always try to communicate the steps, not necessarily the future steps, as being such a moonshot project. They are not always clear, but always the present and past steps are clear, and they are transparently presented to the community. So the concepts and components of the IMCT ecosystem, let's say, are as a principle, we are using the technology as a seamless mediator for our contextual interactions. So we try to build all kind of frameworks, so the technology will be involved in our social interactions in a seamless way. We don't have to pull out our phone to make the payments or to do all kind of interactions in the in the city environment. The technology should do that in a seamless way. This is the principle for the platforms, and also another principle is the dualism. Usually, or all the time, not only usually, we are looking for two different paths going forward to common point. What what I want to say with that, it is like we try to get the both sides always in order to reach our goals. This is shown in the framework, in the frameworks we are building. We are building two kind of frameworks as a base construction. It is the rewarding framework for the IMCT interactions, and it is the participatory framework, because you can reward people, but you have to reward them with a meaning because of that, or following a thing. That thing to be rewarded in our system is the participation in communities, in cities, in all kind of interactions. So it is a rewarding framework and a participatory framework. For the rewarding framework, we have also a duality because the rewarding framework need a multi-token transaction system, which is something we recently worked a lot in development. So a multi-token transaction and the reputational assignments, because not only a financial value should be moved around the city through those social interactions, but the reputational assignments are important, because in our social interactions around the city, the reputation it's very important. When I say around the city, you'll see later, it is not only on the physical streets, but I'll explain it in the next slide. So for the participatory framework, as I said, the second part of the basic frameworks, we have the contextual interactions to build in the participatory and the contextual identities. We can have a participatory system without having in a way or in another having it tied with the identity. But as we know, the identity is very sensitive things. Luckily, IOTA Foundation with the IOTA identity framework, it's a huge help in that area. So the contextual identities will be linked with the IOTA identity framework. And the contextual interactions, of course, when you participate in the city, doesn't matter what kind of participation, it is an interaction usually, and it is a contextual one based on some context. So we need a framework and a clear system for those to work. Now, the IMCT layers, as I said earlier, the city is not only the physical streets of our cities, not anymore, and for sure not in the future. It is also the virtual layer. So the IMCT is taking care both of the physical layers of our social interactions and the interactions in the virtual layer. It is what we call now the virtual world. But we see those layers connected and somehow blended together. Things we do in the physical layer have interactions in the virtual layers, and the other way around. This is why we will work with real cities as a concept, as entities in those blended layers. So we work with real cities and virtual cities. Also, real organizations, because the companies are real in the physical world, but also with virtual organizations. Those made special for the virtual world interactions. A dual approach we have also when it comes to the organization of things, building this new IMCT ecosystem. We have a non-profit approach with a kind of foundation called IMCT Institute, which is for research and let's say scientific discussions and all kind of theoretical things need to be identified before they are developed in practice. And also there is a for-profit approach, which is the IMCT Studio company, a regular company used for the development of the ecosystem. For the IMCT Institute, we were more enthusiastic and we already started to have around us some very important advisors in the advisory board in different, usually many of them are from the legal, but professors and PhDs and high-level professionals, also from the business ecosystem and from some specialists in urbanism. The list is much larger in reality, but it takes time to get the pictures, get the description, and however, this is only a flavor or to show our intention with IMCT Institute, because the idea is to have thousands of such high-level professionals involved, because this is the goal in the end, to have many individuals involved in this. We also have the legal advisors on board. They were from the first moment. We like them very much because they know very well the Web3 and NFT world and mechanism. They have their own NFT in their attorney office, so they give services based on NFTs. Now, the timeline of our project is, as I said, it always was a struggle and an effort to narrow the scope and activity, because it started like a smart city interface, the idea in 2018. Next year, we tried to narrow it and settle to the city interactions, not everything in smart city, but only the interactions between people. Then going further in 2020, we choose from all kind of interactions those were from the participation category within the city, not any kind of interaction. With the participation, we choose to take care of the reward or the rewarding participation, or of the participation that can be rewarded or should be rewarded. And this year, in the end of the year, we decided to, from all the participation and rewards, to take care of the check-ins, because this is the basic component of our, in the IMCT vision, this is the basic component of our social interactions, the check-ins. We check in a way or another, just by saying hello to the barista in a coffee shop. We check in wherever we go, by a salutation formula or by something more technologically, like we making check-in from the phone. So this is what we will concentrate in the next year, the check-in interactions, and not only any kind of check-in. The current status of the development is that the most part of the multi-token transactions framework is done. We don't speak about the Shimmer transactions. We speak about our own system for transactions. Of course, the Shimmer network, it will be involved, but the multi-token transactions in IMCT, it's a blend between Web 2 and Web 3. So it is almost ready. In fact, we only need to migrate the old data into the new framework. And also almost ready is the multi-type rewarding framework and the participatory framework, multi-type participatory framework. It's pretty much clear, and a lot has been done. It is multi-type in rewarding and multi-type in participatory there, because we create a framework that allow us to provide, or us as a society, also not only us as a project, but anyone will use our framework. So it is a framework allowing us to provide different type of various type of rewarding, not only money, not only token, not only one thing. Also, it is for the participatory. It is multi-type because the participation can be a multitude of types, by an idea, by a deliverable, by a vote, by providing anything else. So all of them should be flexible to mix together, and this is what we are doing. In the end, the next steps, we are beside what is done now. We will, by the end of the year, before the end of the year, we will implement the UBR systems. If you followed us on Twitter, you know already that UBR means Universal Basic Rewarding System rewards. All this is to be implemented. Also, the next step will be to implement what I told you, that is the system for rewarding the check-ins within the city. We call them check interactions, just to have a code name. And next will be the terraformation event, which will be the use of the virtual land plots the community, some from the community members have. They will put them on map, and later we'll have the contextual interactions both in the physical space and in the virtual space we are building. So finally, the very next step we have in front of us to develop is the check interaction. That system we are building for visitors and attendees to receive tokens or rewards when they check in city spots. City spots means in different business, like a coffee shop, in institutions, or at your job, or in any kind of places in the physical world, or in any kind of places in that virtual layer we are building with the virtual land lots we will implement. I'm going forward. I only have only 2 more slides. I'm going forward quick, just to not keep you. So general concepts we are implemented here in our system is UBI, the Universal Basic Income, for the type of distribution we are doing for things within the ecosystem. The trans reality, which is a concept that mixes the reality from the virtual world and the physical world, making it a unique reality. We use this when we are reading the context for interactions. The liquid democracy, probably a lot of them know it is it is a delegative democracy, a way of of making decisions, probably the DAO, the existing DAO way of voting is not. It is probably too simple for the real society. So we think that liquid democracy is something to look at. Yes. Yes. Sorry? I didn't.
I think that was not a question. That was just.
Okay. I thought. Okay. So the decentralization, of course, anyone will know, and we fight for. And the original concepts inside our project, we are working hard to implement is that UBR, which is not the universal basic income. UBR is the universal basic reward, meaning the society should provide some basic tasks to the individuals where they can get a basic income from those tasks, not by default. The contextual interactions, it's what we call the seamless interaction executed by the technology based on the context details. For example, for contextual interaction in the city, you go to the movie, you sit on your in the room for the movie you want to see. No cashiers, no things to check tickets there. Just the technology will know the context and will make the interaction for you without you being required to do anything for that. This is the contextual interactions, seamless interactions. Liquid contracts. This, I think this will be interesting in the future, because what I think liquid contracts is, it is an evolved form of the smart contract. It is a contract that algorithmically change and adapt its clauses based on the intersection of the other parts. So let's say we have some clauses as a personal choice. You have some clauses as a personal choice. When we interact, our liquid contracts will identify only the intersections of those clauses, and only those will be enforced, implemented, and things like that. So same contract will have different behavior based on the context. And the very distributed concept, which in the IMCT vision is a way to have a wider distribution and involvement of the stakeholders, both in the way the value is distributed, but also the participation it's assessed. It goes in both ways. So those are the concepts of this. And that's it. If you want to go with only one idea, so we now at this moment we build a platform for digital rewards for visitors and attendees in the city. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clement. It was a extensive presentation, but very interesting also. Thank you very much for this presentation. I think the questions probably would be good if you would directly contact Clement because of the time now. Thank you very much. And we are now coming to the second last, so two presentations are missing. I hope it's fine for you that we just go through them and don't make a break in between. So then we have all the Sunday free. So thank you very much, Clement. And now we will see a video about the next project. It's from Moonmorans. So from Morgan, he's not able to participate, so he said it is a video about their project, and we will now share this with you.
All native assets and ERC tokens out there all have something in common. They're trying to solve, improve, or to offer something that is better than its main protocol. With a smart contract, many of them are trying to improve the transaction per seconds or to lower the
are you
transaction
sharing
fees.
it?
And this brings value back to its main protocol. whether it is.
Probably it's only live in the stream.
Is it not shown in the stream?
Can somebody look in the YouTube stream if this video is presented there?
I think it works. So yeah, I just continue. If there's an issue, yeah, please raise your hand and say something.
Ethereum or
Okay, so it's working on YouTube. So
but if we
yeah,
look
we're
at
presenting
IOTA
the video on
2.0
YouTube.
and we
Please
try
join
Lego,
the YouTube live
what is it
stream, and
really to
afterwards,
improve?
yeah, we switch back
And
to
how
the
could
Discord.
that?
Ah, yeah, you're right. So I can share my screen if that's possible. So now everyone should be able to see it.
Bring value back to IOTA? Well, from my perspective, IOTA 2.0 is already superior as it is, right? So there's nothing really to improve. But what happens if we take a step outside the box here for a second and we start listening to this question? What do you think would happen if the crypto world found out that IOTA, as the only cryptocurrency out there, has a native token that is putting both money and effort into not trying to improve or offer something that is better, but to do the exact opposite? What if there was moon morons? A bunch of conservative maniacs that still believes in dirty blockchain technology. They like cheeky fees and pending transactions. Why? Because they want you to get that cheeky OG shitcoin experience. And with a lot of pending transactions, they are confident that they can achieve that. They also think that climate change isn't real. But of course, I also have to say that we have to be very careful and make sure that people understand the satire about this before saying something stupid like climate change isn't real. Because I mean that's a powerful statement, and that's a powerful stupid statement, and you have to remember and you have to understand that NFTs are bringing woke people into the crypto world, right? And so we don't want to get fucking cancelled here before we even got started. Yeah, so we really need to think about this before we tweet or have this statement for sure. But why would those moon morons be interested in launching a token under IOTA? Because they know that blockchain will soon be dead tech, and the only way to prevent that is to bring it to the multiverse and save the last piece of bad blockchain experience on the Tangle. By adding cheeky fees and simulating pending transactions, they will develop what we call the world's first unsmart contract. So thanks to moon morons and IOTA's Tangle, future generations will always be able to experience blockchain themselves, to remember how shitty that technology was. So what's an unsmart contract? Well, our idea is that when you execute or when you do a transaction, you get 4 options. And the 4 options is the first option is that you pay $1 and the transaction will be pending for 30 minutes. And the second option is that you pay $2, your transaction will be pending for 10 minutes. And the third options, you pay $3 and the transaction will be as instant as possible. And the 4 options will be free, but your transaction will be pending for between 24 and 72 hours in order to get that cheeky OG shitcoin experience. And what we mean with that is that we want you to start thinking like, we want you to get this feeling, you know, when you start thinking like, you know, did I do something wrong? Well, you know, like, did I paste the wrong ad? Why is my transaction still pending? You know, that cheeky feeling. You know, that's what we want, right? But then I had a really good conversation with my friend Gianfranco, and he said that why don't you call this $1 option with a pending transaction for 30 minutes? Why don't you call that Bitcoin speed? And the second option with you'd pay $2 for a pending transaction for 10 minutes. Why don't you call that Ethereum speed? And this third option that will be as instant as possible for $3. Why don't you call that? Why don't you call it IOTA speed? And then I said, yeah. And this fourth option that will be free with a pending transaction for between 24 and 72 hours. So let's call that Moonmoron speed. And then he said, yeah, that fits into the story. And you know, he was right about saying this, because I mean, if you call a $1 transaction Bitcoin speed, then suddenly, you know, that's cheap. You know, $1 for Bitcoin speed for a Bitcoin transaction, that's cheap. And the second option, like you pay $2 for an Ethereum speed that will be pending for 10 minutes. You know, that's fucking cheap as well. You know, and the third option, you pay $3 for IOTA speed. You know, that's fucking expensive, but you know, stop whining and use the IOTA network instead. I mean, that will be our approach. Yeah. So, and what will happen with the collected fees? Because this will be a layer 1 token, and there will be no transaction fees when sending money on layer 1, right? So why don't do something good about it? So, and our proposal is that 70% of the collected fees will go straight back to the IOTA Foundation. 20%, you know, buyback and burn tokens. 9% Moonmoron's treasury, and 1% to charity. And yeah, I don't know if you noticed this yet, but this project isn't really just about, you know, satire about blockchain. You know, this is also, or what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to touch I'm trying to touch some of the errors about our modern Western culture here. I mean, for example, especially when we're talking about young people, like when someone is giving a sandwich to a homeless man, for example, that person can't just give it to him, you know, or her. You know, that person also has to take a selfie of the event to show the world and post it on Instagram and to show the world how good he or she is. You know, it's all about signaling goodness, and I mean that's fucking disgusting, right? But what the Moonborns are doing, they're doing the exact opposite. Maybe not by signaling evilness, but signaling moralness or idiotism for sure. So our approach will be that this is just a meaningless shitcoin, but secretly we will start to add utilities to the token. And when people start to dig into it, they will realize, oh shit, this token got this and that utility, and oh, what the fuck, 70% of the collected fees go straight back to the IOTA Foundation, the greenest DLT in the whole crypto world. What the fuck? And 1% goes to this, some autism research, and to some company that is, quote, cleaning up the carbon in the atmosphere caused by blockchain mining, end quote. What the fuck? Maybe this isn't a shitcoin after all. And I know that there are many project leaders, many IOTA project leaders that are listening to this right now. And what I want you to ask yourself is that what can I, or what utility could my project bring to the Moonmars token, and to the newbies that are listening to this, I also want to say that with IOTA you can transfer value all around the globe, everywhere, without paying any transaction fees, and without even having a bank account. And this is important shit. You know, this is revolutionary. But if you're privileged enough, use the Moonmorons network instead. Pay a cheeky fee and contribute with money for IOTA, the true DLT that is fighting for a free world. Thank you.
Thanks. So, Moritz, are you there? Okay, I don't know. So, yeah, but I think that was the second last presentation, and now
We are back here.
Okay.
I hope you enjoyed the presentation from Lawrence. I think you can contact them directly here in Discord. And yeah, well, now we come to the last presentation of the day. So the project TFT, the Fans Together, which is also a nice initiative and project. So Simon, are you here to present your project?
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks. I feel like this space is so exciting at the moment. Having listened to all the presentations today, from the very first project, we can see there's so much growth and development in the IOTA ecosystem, and obviously with the launch of Shimmer and the functionality that enables all of these fantastic projects to come to fruition. And when you hear about some of the sophisticated projects around DeFi, it makes us feel a little bit inferior, I have to say, on occasion, because our project's really simple. What we're trying to do is utilize blockchain technology to enable fans to gain a voice in sports that they care about. There's been many fan ownership models and projects over the years that have either worked or haven't. There's some safeguards in different countries that protect fans. But if I can use the Premier League as an example, there's a real disconnect between the values and the money involved at what we call the elite level. And I think it's probably fair to say the Premier League is the most marketed and probably therefore the most popular football league in the world. And we saw recently with the sale of Chelsea Football Club, a club that was sold for $4.5 billion, which to the man in the street and the fan is such an obscenely large number. It's almost beyond comprehension. But what it means is that these clubs that people have grown up with and that are their passion, not just their hobbies, have now become behemoths of corporate style entities where the bottom line is all important and revenue is a must, which is why we see teams at these sorts of level producing third kits and things like that. In simple terms, what we think that we can achieve is a voice for the fans. Most of these large clubs don't have any fan representation, and they don't have a direct channel to the board. And there is an index that's used in the UK. It's called the Fan Engagement Index, and it looks at different things. It looks at match day experience, how good are clubs at communicating with their fans. And at the top is, of course, a fan-owned club, which is called Exeter. It's quite a low-level club, and all the big teams are sort of way down the pyramid. What TFT intends to do is to create an environment where fans can participate in what we call sort of broad strokes to put their views across to clubs. So, for example, if we were talking around transfer strategy, acquisitions, and things like that, we wouldn't be able to talk about, should we go and buy Neymar today and then discuss his contract in a public forum? But what we can do is we can represent to the club that we're interested in seeing a striker purchased or a midfielder or a defender. We might be saying our match day experience isn't good enough and we want to improve the number of people that are attending the stadium, and how do we incentivize people? So it's looking at sports clubs that we can work with as an ownership stake, and what the project's done today, because really I'm trying to keep this sort of a bit informal. It's the last presentation of the day. So the goal for me is to give you an update as to what TFT is doing, what we plan to do now, and then in the future. So from a sort of update point of view, we have spent a lot of time, and the whole foundation of what we've done has been around governance and legality. What we started off calling the DAO dilemma. How do you get a group of people together from diverse countries to own an asset? And in this case, those assets are sports clubs. So the work we did, we looked at multiple jurisdictions and we engaged a really strong board of advisors. people with high level experience in taxation, legal structure, and real world finance, should I say. This resulted in us settling on a structure that means that when we buy into clubs, the assets that we own, those shares, follow a structure where there's a regional company that takes the ownership, which in turn is owned by a corporate entity based in Jersey. And the ultimate beneficiary of that corporate structure is a foundation in Jersey. So anybody that's part of our DAO has one token, is a beneficiary of that foundation, which means that the assets are all ring fenced and protected. So, for example, if there was a problem within one club, a financial issue, it wouldn't be able to affect anything else. So that first part that we did was really important to get out there and sort of work out how to solve that problem, which we're very comfortable that we've done. The way that the Jersey structure works is that we have independent management and governance day to day of the corporates as is set out, and certainly with the foundation as well. And the reason for that is to protect any participants in what we're doing. And to date, we've got people involved via NFTs. So we've had some seed investment. Obviously, as founders, we've put some money in as well. But we also went to the community and sold a selection of NFTs as a pre-ICO, one to sort of gauge the market, but also to help build the treasury. And those participants now are protected via that legal structure. One of the things that we had to look at very hard was whether we were building a security. Well, is TFT a security or is it not? We've got a legal opinion that says that it's not, and one of the big reasons around that is we see ourselves as a leisure offering. We're effectively representing ourselves as a hobby style interest. So if someone was going to go and spend $20 at the movie, maybe they'll spend $20 at TFT instead on an NFT or merchandise, and that then relates to increased funds, which means fundamentally in sports terms, it means you can invest more into your team, your resources, your setup. The first club that we went to, we obviously looked at various others, but the first club that we bought into was a club in Greece called Episkopi FC. And that's in Greek Super League 2, which is the second division of Greek football. It's professional, but I'm not sure if we've got any Greek people on the Discord now, but Greek football is pretty tumultuous at an administrative level. So what it's done is it's really sort of sharpened our minds and really helped us to understand where the pitfalls and where the problems can be in this type of arrangement, and also how to implement. How do you actually implement and represent a voice across to a board? How do you get them to listen to you? How do you get them to take you seriously? And what we've done is we've relied on the expertise of our connections around football. That includes football agents, football financial people, and we've gone into that club and said, okay, we see you as a well-run entity. Where can we support you? How can we improve your future? Because effectively, one of the things that we have to do is any club that we get involved with, we have to make sure that we're adding value. In simple terms, for a club, and we can see it if let's use the example of PSG. Okay, when Episkopi in Greece is not PSG, but fundamentally that club's revenues have gone up 6 times over the last 10 years. We know that the attention that's been created on the club has been through investment. So a big bag of money went into the club. They bought a lot of high-profile players. A lot of people then started following the team, but they've then translated that into increased revenue. And on a much smaller scale, that's effectively what TFT are doing with any club that we participate with. We want to bring more attention and more eyeballs onto that club. Our model is based on the fact that by having an ownership stake, then people will take an interest. Once people take an interest, we know that everybody has their main teams. I mean, I was talking to some of the guys last night at the meeting, and there's a whole variety of teams and sports that people support. But by having an ownership stake in a club, it offers an opportunity for engagement to increase, which then means that you have the opportunity to increase revenue, whether that's somebody that participates in TFT buys the shirt or maybe watches a stream. It gives us an opportunity to develop the club through increased intention. And that in its simplest terms is what we're trying to do. One of the things that I haven't really had an opportunity to discuss very often in public is around how TFT actually survives, has a future, and how we can grow and augment what we're doing. Because, okay, at this stage, we've bought into one football club. We've proved the governance works. We've proved that we can interact with the club. We've proved that we can problem solve on the ground. And we've proved that concept. So how do we move to the next level? And the cornerstone of what we're doing is a dual-pronged program, really. So in so much as we obviously have the assets, which are the sports clubs themselves, which in theory through increased visibility will appreciate in value. That will either be because of revenue or because of success. So for example, if Episcopi get promoted to Super League One, obviously the underlying value of the asset increases. But a big part of what we're trying to do in TFT also is develop an app which provides a place for obviously interactions with our clubs, but also with for other teams as well. So in effect, think of it like a white label solution where a sports team can go and create a Web3 community. If we look at the market as a whole at the moment, what we see is a diverse interest in sports from blockchain companies, exchanges, and projects. And probably the biggest one that's known in the world is Socios, which is a fan token operation where effectively the corporate Socios signs marketing deals with clubs from PSG, Arsenal, Barcelona, all across the country, and they issue fan tokens which are then tradable. The clubs, I think, get 50% of the raise, and then Socios retains the rest of that. That's the sort of model that we've got. But in that model, there isn't a particular value in terms of ownership or representation. There are votes and competitions to win tickets, but they tend to then be much more crypto focused. So it's about trading. How many times can you trade at your Socios to build up a level of trades that might make you eligible to win first class tickets to go and fly to Man City and watch the game or wherever it may be. Alongside that, we've got other exchanges. So Binance, for example, have also entered the sports space and the fan token space, and they've done an issue with Lazio and a few other clubs. So what we're seeing in the market a lot of interest in sport, but some projects that perhaps don't understand how to bridge that gap that we perceive, which is the fan interactions with the clubs. So there's also a lot going on around NFTs, for example, with clubs. So in Indonesia at the moment, there's a lot of clubs are talking about how do we leverage the potential of blockchain? How do we then interact with our fans? And fundamentally, it goes back to what I said at the beginning. It's a corporate outlook. So it's about money. It's about how can we raise money? So a lot of the focus is around fan tokens are about generating revenue for the clubs, as would be any other advertising or revenue stream. So a stadium naming rights or advertising around the pitch. It falls into that category. And it doesn't elevate the relationship between the club and its fans. And in a lot of cases, there's quite a lot of toxicity because your average person in the street, one thing that I put on Twitter last night when I was at the meeting, we have to sort of zoom out quite a lot and quite frequently because we are also engaged with this space. And you see the work that Cappy's doing and Tanglesea and all the guys that we spoke to earlier. And these guys live and breathe crypto. And as a result, because of the IOTA community and the way it is, the participants, and I include myself in this, that follow these projects, we're pretty literate around crypto. And we understand that crypto as a word is much more dynamic and sophisticated than Bitcoin. And your average man in the street perhaps doesn't get that. So one of the things that is really difficult and really hard in the sports space is to get over preconceptions of what the blockchain could possibly benefit sport for and how it could be used. The bigger projects that are going out there and putting out NFTs and fan tokens and creating some FUD really around values. Again, I'll use the example of PSG. When their Socio token was issued, it was, I believe, going from memory, it was around $2.20, $2.50 a token. The day that it was announced that Messi signed, the token was trading at over $20. And the man in the street invested money into that, and obviously it then declined, and it sits at a level that's a lot lower. There's a group called Bitsy in Turkey that issues fan tokens, and there's been a lot of turmoil around the value of these things and how we can protect them. So as a TFT start point and outlook, we had to say, if we create a token that is then tradable, and if we create a value proposition, how do we protect participants? And purely the way that you do that is by ring fencing the assets, as I've said, but then looking at this app and how do we develop it? How do we add interest and value for people that, even if they're not interested in TFT as a project, can come to a place where they can discuss football, they can discuss basketball, they can replicate those interests that they've got, but within our ecosystem, which means then we can take advantage of numbers of participants. So we've been working pretty hard with some clubs, and that's one reason I mentioned Indonesia, because we're working with a club there that would not be a TFT club, but within our app would be able to create their own Web3 community. And at the high level, that is them looking to leverage and generate revenue in terms of how they can interact with their fans and Web3. And we are advising the club on how we believe they should structure that. The benefit for us is obviously it brings eyeballs and it brings people into the TFT sphere, which then means that we've got an opportunity to generate revenue through merchandise, marketing, obviously NFTs, et cetera, et cetera. So having set up the governance side, having now finalized and formed our definition of what the app will be, we're now working around how to ICO, when to ICO. We have been looking at the Shimmer launch with real pride at all the work that people have done there, and seeing projects like Sooniverse really coming into their own as that ecosystem comes out. We're waiting for the EVM, which we believe isn't a million miles away, which will allow us to gain the functionality that we need. So, for example, at the moment, it's a bit more complex to do airdrops on IOTA of NFTs than it is, say, on OpenSea, because of the way that the technology is set up. But the EVM will give us a lot more flexibility and a lot more ability to have the functionality that we need around things like sending NFTs, but also loaning them. So one of the concepts within our project is that NFTs with special attributes will be loanable. So, for example, if you had free tickets in Greece and you lived in the States and you couldn't get there, you could lend your NFT for a fee to somebody and they can utilize your NFT. So the app is our real crucial stage of development next, which also ties in with Shimmer. In fundamental terms, we are at a point where we've got decisions to make around what we do next in terms of teams and assets and acquisitions. There's a team in Sweden that we've done a lot of work with to get to a point where we have the opportunity to take over 49% of the club. It's a team called Syrianska, not so far from Stockholm. Historically, they were in the top league of Swedish football, and they've gone on a bumpy road and they find themselves in the equivalent of Division 4. We were approached by the manager who took them up to the top league and then went on to win the FA Cup with Djurgården, to work with TFT to basically take over the club. And the club is rooted in the Syrian community. So from a TFT point of view, it brings a lot of attention, a lot of eyeballs, because there's a displaced population across the globe of around 3 million people who identify with this club as their national team. The reason that I mention that in detail now is because the next step is all about adoption for us. So we didn't go out and scream to sports fans initially what we were doing. We really focused on how we could make our ecosystem work. So hence the work on the governance, hence the work on how to define the assets, how to protect them, how does that operability work on a day-to-day basis. We feel we've solved those. So next is, how do we bring people into the ecosystem? And one thing that always resonates with me in particular was something that Dom said about wallets. And it was something that he wrote, I believe it was on Twitter, about the number of wallets that IOTA has now and how many wallets IOTA will have in the future, and how we all can increase that adoption, because utility for the IOTA ecosystem is what it's all about. as I mentioned earlier, I love the other projects that people are doing there, and they will certainly be very attractive to people that are educated in crypto. We see one of the real roles of the Fans Together is to bring people into an environment that maybe they're not used to, but in a way that is easy and simple for them. So going back to what I said earlier, I was talking about the complication around people understanding crypto beyond that word crypto. How do we, as part of the IOTA community, do our job, which is to onboard people? Now, our first target is to onboard 10,000 people, which in wallet terms, if you just heard the TanglePay presentation, that's pretty much what they're talking about they've achieved so far. And they're a very sophisticated project. They have minds that are way above my sophistication level in terms of technology and things like that. But we see opportunity to approach people like TanglePay and say, hey, in our app, we need a robust, secure environment where we can house people's tokens and they can come and enter the IOTA ecospace. But our job then is to make that simple. Our job is to make that as easy as possible. What we do know from your average fan, shall we say, so I'll use my brother-in-law as an example. He's almost 40 years old. He's got a few kids. He's a passionate Arsenal fan. He's heard the word Bitcoin a lot. He's heard it goes up and he hears it goes down. But if I mention IOTA, he doesn't know what IOTA is. If I mention Shimmer, he'd still be looking at me with blank eyes now. But he is a sports fan, and he's also a sophisticated user of technology. He has a betting app where he'll probably bet £10 a week on the outcome of his football matches. So he's used to procedures such as KYC, which obviously in crypto is something that we know is very important and is an ever-growing issue. And our job is to get him to be just as comfortable logging into, say, the TFT app and interacting with that as he is at the moment with his other modes of operation. So the work on what we call the barrier to entry to bring mass adoption is also something that's very important, and in IOTA community terms is something that we see as our job. We're not a very sophisticated project in terms of the other guys that we hear about, the projects that we've heard the presentations from today. We're really fundamentally simple. Bring fans closer to sports, give fans a voice. How do you do that? Through volume and through adoption. So we've worked really hard to find ways that there's fiat on-ramps, and we're at the stage now, as I say, where it's about adoption, and it's about taking projects like Syrianska, where they have a large amount of fans, and converting them into TFT users. To do that, we need to get our app up and running, and we've engaged with Servrox, who have been fantastic this weekend. They've put a lot of work in. I know others have too, to create the IOTA weekend. And we feel very secure that we can work with them to get our final product out. What that then translates to is TFT as an opportunity, if you like, for tokenization, which is what the ICO links into. We were hoping to ICO earlier this year, but now we're looking at linking it into the World Cup, because the World Cup starts in the middle of November, and we feel that we can use that as an opportunity. We're hopeful the EVM will obviously be ready at that stage. We want our project to remain fun. It's difficult at times. The crypto dip this year has slowed a lot of things down. It's changed investment profiles of different people, and we're still here, we're still battling, we're still moving forward, and we feel like those big milestones have been ticked off. And we feel that the next stage is, how do we now start pushing back? How do we start putting volume of wallets fundamentally, which is users, into the space that we're all interested in and we all work in?
All right.
Yeah,
Simon, just regarding the time, it's a little bit...
Yeah. I literally was just about to say, I'm always available in Discord to talk. I've had a couple of messages now, but I'm always available at any time to talk if anyone's got any questions or interest. But on behalf of myself and everybody, I just wanted to thank you guys for all the work you've done in terms of setting up this weekend as well. It's been really, really, really healthy, and I think it's probably number one of many.
Thank you very much, Simon. All right, yeah, if you have questions to Simon, please give them direct via DM to him so that he is aware. And now, really the last presentation, because we have now a special guest that everybody knows. It's IOTA robots. Who many of you probably has one. So who wants to talk shortly about his project? He hasn't got presentation, but he will shortly introduce the project. Stage is yours if you hear.
Thank you, Moritz, and also shout out to Severox team and everyone that's here to listen. So I will make it really short to let everyone enjoy their weekend. So let's start. I'm Pep. So my name is Taha from Belgium. My background is law. So we start early with the NFTs, robots, clubs. Why clubs? Because it was really popular back then in the beginning of the NFT world. So we started with the pre-sale, we sold out, and then we're now starting with our second one that will be into our metaverse launched. So you will get access if you get one ape. So we will get free 3D robots, and if you also get the ape token that we launched one of these days. So we already distributed almost like 200,000 apes. So that's quite really fascinating to achieve that. Also very grateful. After that, if we ready with that, we're trying to implement our game. The first game will be more a simple game, like a jump game. Why a jump game? So because we were grown up with I don't know if you know the game Flappy Birds. It was back then was really famous. That guy made millions. It was downloaded above millions. But at the end he deleted it because he couldn't handle all the famous. And that's what we're trying to achieve. We want to make a game that's decentralized and where you can also earn tokens. That's why you also launched the ape token. So everyone can benefit. Because mostly these days, if you download app or game on a app store, it's centralized because all the money goes to the owner and all the players don't get any beneficials. So that's our aim, purpose. And lastly, to end this brief summary, we also want to focus on women DAO. What's women DAO? We want to focus to educate women, since women sees the blockchain is male dominated. So we want to make sure that women get first word in our NFT, in our metaverse. And we also believe that in the next Pro Run, women will achieve more than men, because it's already it was happening that the women didn't get any rights back then in the early ages. So we want to make sure that women also get. So that's it. Actually, I want to finish it. Sorry that we didn't have any presentation PowerPoint. But we will make sure that next time you're invited, that we'll have one. So thank you, everyone. And if you have any question, please send me a message and we'll answer it. So thank you, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we are at the end of the presentations and the last day of the experience meetup. And yeah, I want to say some last words also to Porsche Digital, who provided in Germany the location for the meetups and the presentations. So big thanks to them. And also a colleague who wasn't able to join because he got a little daughter on Friday. So that is a guy from Server Solution. So Marcel, and yeah, congrats to him, to his little daughter. And yeah, if you have questions about Servrox, just contact them. Just contact Raven or Servrox Solutions. They will give you all infos what they are doing. And yeah, thanks for participating. And have a great Sunday. And hope you see you soon or hear from us. Thank you.